Hey everyone, and welcome to the Balanced Bodies Blueprint. I am your host, Vinny Russo.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Eryn Stansfield.
And we're shifting gears from all the conventional fitness narrative you hear on most fitness podcasts, as our main emphasis lies in preventative healthcare, adopting a holistic approach to nutrition, and challenging the traditional views on various fitness topics.
Our mission with this podcast is to provide you with the information you need to achieve optimal health.
And on today's podcast, we will be discussing my last photo shoot prep. So I took a photo shoot about 2 weeks ago. Very, very happy with what I saw come out so far, but very excited to see what all the end products look like. They are going to be unedited. Not a big fan of editing my photos, but we're going to go through this photo shoot prep because this prep was pretty different from the normal Vinny Russo competition / photo shoot prep that I normally put myself through. So Eryn's going to be leading the discussion. She's going to be shooting some questions at me, and I'm going to let you in on a little behind the scenes behind this last photo shoot prep.
I'm going to jump in. So, why?
Before you get into questions, did you see anything different? Like, you're just like, I want to just ask questions.
I'm going to talk about that. I want to talk about it. But why? Okay, you usually do competitions.
Yeah.
So I want to know why you decided to do a photo shoot instead of a competition.
Initially, it was like competitions. I go all in, all out. You are pregnant. I wanted to have this time to at least, enjoy with you. I figured you'd want to go out to eat a lot, which isn't really the case. Definitely thought it'd be more like us trying different foods and things like that. And I didn't want to be denying that experience with you and with myself. Then I also realized, like, I put myself through hell only to get disappointed with someone else's opinion of the way I look. Even though, like, I'm extremely happy with the way I look and I felt like, oh yeah, I should have won. It's not even worth it for me anymore. And I think photo shoots is just like another way to keep myself in shape. So I think that's going to be it for me. Like, I think I'm just going to stick with the photo shoots. I really enjoyed this prep and it wasn't crazy. Like, we were able to go out to eat and do this stuff. So the main reason why is I just didn't want to be so OCD anal, which I know I could get like with competition preps, because to me it's like, oh, well, if I took one day off, that's the reason why I didn't place first. So that mentality is going by the wayside.
I'd like to add that every time you brought up a competition, that I kind of rolled my eyes at you.
Yeah, I know.
I think
you definitely you had a role in making me decide otherwise, but your main role was you are pregnant, and I'm like, we definitely want this experience, like, while you're pregnant, to be as stressless as possible.
I can appreciate that, and I'm grateful for that. But I still have to say that you walked around with a six-pack while pregnant.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to point that out.
Well, I had to carry the shape for both of us.
Okay. But I will say that this time around, I've seen an evolution in your nature, and that I'm really proud of that, because I think that the Vinny that I met that almost canceled a trip to meet me because of a prep that eventually got canceled was not the same Vinny that went through this photo shoot. And I would add that this photo shoot, I think that you looked incredible, and you were still able, like you said, to balance going out with me and having a few treats here and there,
yeah,
while still following your plan and getting your workouts in. But also, if you didn't get a workout in, it wasn't the end of the world. Or if you had a glass of wine, it wasn't the end of the world. Yeah. So I think that is the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say that too, because even like with cardio and working out, I wasn't obsessed over like I need to hit every single set, I need to hit every single rep on Mondays. It's got to be this. There was so much flexibility, which I just allowed myself, and I guess you could say the mindset evolution definitely happened. And I think going forward, like that's what it needs to be with me, because I plan on doing at least one photo shoot every year. So.
Well, and I think that's the lifestyle goal, right? Like, for everybody is to, it's cool to do competitions. I'm not saying those things are hard, but really the goal is to look good, feel confident in your skin, but also enjoy your life. Like, don't be so deprived that you aren't able to enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, go out sometimes. I think that really is the pinnacle of what people should make their goal.
Yeah, and I think it goes hand in hand with like what we preach to our clients too, because I tell them, like, go on vacations as often as possible. Do not skip out on girls' night. Like, go out as much as you possibly can during the dieting phase, because it just helps you navigate that situation better the next time you encounter it. Like, you're able to figure out the strategies that work best for you. And this go around, I think, I figured out the strategy that worked best for me, and just going to try to maintain that.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. So what did you do to prepare for this photo shoot?
In what aspect?
Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze.
She's going to sneeze, everybody. I'm not editing this out. They're just going to stay
You're not
on.
gonna sneeze.
Yeah.
All right.
In what aspect?
So how was this prep different, like, from a competition prep as far as nutrition goes? Let's start with nutrition.
I wasn't so obsessive over every single detail. Like, with a competition prep, I feel like I have to be, because I need to get my body composition to a certain point in terms of body fat percentage. With me and this photo shoot, I wanted that to be different. I didn't need to get as lean as I would need to be on stage. And I also know when I get that lean, and you see it in me, I lose my size, like my volume. I don't look full. So I wanted to go into this competition basically trying to get as lean as possible while still staying as full as possible. So there was a balance there. So it's not like I'm completely shredded. I was definitely under 10% body fat, maybe around 8, maybe 9 or 8. But I had my fullness. Like, I was able to get a really good pump. You could definitely see it in my shoulders and my chest, and normally that stuff kind of shrinks down on me. But what was cool is, like, I used a coach in the beginning, and whatever he gave me, it was just working. So AJ Sims, he's been my coach for the last couple years. He gave me a plan that I utilized in the beginning, and my body was responding really, really quickly, really well, almost to the point where I'm like, we might need to kind of slow things down a little bit. But it got to the point where I got, like, where I really liked, and then that was it. Like, for me and for him, I was just like, I'm going to just stay here. Like, you don't have to coach me anymore. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm just going to maintain this diet because I like where I'm at. And if I tighten up, great. If I start taking a few steps backwards, I know what to do anyway. But he gave me a plan initially that works so well for my body. So kudos to him always being around and always supporting me as well. But yeah, after that, I didn't check in with him. I told him, like, hey, I'm going to kind of just take it from here. And yeah, that was it. So it was really just, once my body got to a position, I just wanted to maintain that. And it wasn't like, get leaner, get leaner, get leaner, get tighter, get tighter, get tighter, go lower. It wasn't like that. It was like, I love this look. Let me maintain it.
So let's just talk about, like, some metrics, some data. So what weight did you start at? What body percentage would you say? Because I know that you didn't really measure.
Yeah.
And then, like, how long to get to where you felt like you looked good?
Yeah. So this was like right after I took a pretty good hiatus in terms of dieting, in terms of working out too. So I gave myself a long break in between competitions. So it was like 2.5 years. 2 years, 2.5 years. And then with working out, there was like a 7 to 8 month period where I was just half-assing it, going in there just to get some movement, and wasn't really trying anything, and then trying to improve anything. And then once I started this, it was just like I flipped a switch, and I was trying really hard in the gym. The intensity was through the roof. Cardio-wise, we'll get into that later. But with dieting, it was just like I took myself... I don't even want to get into the calorie aspect of it. I just want to get into, like, the mindset behind it. So with the training aspect, it was like I just flipped a switch and started going to, like, improve my body composition, and I had such a good response because I feel like I gave myself a break. Same thing with the dieting. Once I just got really consistent with everything, my body just responded really, really well and just kept responding. So where I was, I feel like I was around like 212, 213, probably around 15% body fat, maybe a little bit higher than that, maybe 16. And then I want to say within the first 2 to 3 months, I got pretty tight pretty damn quickly.
Yeah,
Even
fast.
even AJ was like, dude, I don't really see response like this. This is pretty crazy. And I was like, fuck it, let's roll with it. And yeah, about 2 to 3 months, and then I got myself to a position to where I'm like sitting between 185 and 190, and I'm kind of going back and forth, but that was the range that I wanted to stay. I definitely didn't want to go below 185. When I was there, I was like, all right, I look really good here, but I'm starting to feel a little bit small. That 190 mark, it's like, all right, I got my size back, but I'm definitely not as tight as I look at 185. So the goal was to stay between that. So how long did that take? What was it, 4 or 5 months to get there? But I just maintained that look from when I got there till the photo shoot, and that was the goal.
Well, and that was, I'd have to say that's the longest I've seen you maintain really well and almost effortlessly.
Yeah.
Like that. And I think that should be like everyone's goal if you're going for lifestyle, and even if you're competing, like think about that. If you're like happy with what you see in the mirror and you just have to take it down a couple of body fat percentage points, it's pretty easy to do.
Well, that's a lot. A couple body fat percentage.
Well, it depends
points.
where you start, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what your genetics are. But still, you know what I mean? Like if you're comfortable with what you see in the mirror.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let me tighten up just a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's a minor adjustment.
Where it's not like you're, using months of prep time and going nuts and cutting people off because you can't, go eat with them.
I've been there.
I know, and
that's
why like I remember like my last competition prep, like I wanted to be in a place where I didn't sacrifice that much.
Yeah, but then at the end you had to grind.
I did, but at the same time, like I didn't sacrifice 6 months. It was 1 month.
Yeah, it's like the last 3 to 4 weeks. You're like, all right. You're like, Vin, I'm not really where I want to be, so I'm gonna do some cardio. Like,
yeah,
right.
which you want to manage a little bit better than that. But obviously, like this was way different for you. What would you say? Was there any challenges that you felt like you really had to overcome with this prep?
To be honest, no. But it was more of a mindset thing. Like, can I control myself to not being like? Because I always like to say, like, let's get freaky. Let's get like an alien, like freakish, right? Like it's not human. And for me to like prevent myself from getting there, and then also allowing myself a little bit of freedom. And knowing that it's okay, because look, I preach this stuff all the time, and yes, I practice it, but it's still very, very hard with me because there's a perfectionist aspect to me that I will never shake, and I'm okay with that. But doing this little trial and error run, it showed me that, like you don't have to be a perfectionist, and it's okay, and the flexibility, because once I did it and I saw like I'm just getting tighter, I was just like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to be comfortable with it. I think that goes with the evolution of the mindset. So I think that the mindset was the biggest challenge for me. Was number one, is that OCD analness going to come back and just get me to a point where I'm not happy with the fullness? And the second part of that mindset is going to be, well, if I give myself a little freedom, am I going to feel guilty or not? And I didn't, because the results show, and you guys will see that from the photo shoot photos that I put out when I actually get them.
How far off from your like stage weight were you with this photo shoot, and maybe body percentage wise, do you think?
I think percentage wise, probably, I would say I was around maybe not 8.5%, maybe, I don't know, maybe as low as 7, maybe as high as 9. With stepping on stage, I'm usually around, I would say 6, maybe 5.
So you weren't too far off.
No, but when you're that lean, those are big body fat percentage points.
Push,
it's a lot. Like, so between 5 and 6 or 5 and 7%, it's a lot. But the stage weight, probably 7 pounds. Yeah. So maybe hit stage at like 183, 182, and I did the photo shoot at 189.9, so I was right under 190 that day, the morning.
Yeah. I think you looked really good though, and I've seen you at competition, so.
Yeah. It's funny, like when you saw old competition photos of me, and I'm like, this is like me at like, it was like 178, and you're like, Jesus, like I lose all size whenever I get that
It's
lean.
so crazy. Like when we were talking about this, so I think this is like a genetic thing.
Yeah.
some people are able to maintain. You all lose body fat and muscle when you're trying to cut weight, obviously for the stage. You lose both, but some people are really good at maintaining muscle, and I never realized because if anything, I had trouble.
That.
Yeah, I'd had.
You don't lose the muscle mass.
I would have trouble losing the body fat, but like I maintained a lot of my mass, and I would stop lifting sometimes, and still maintain mass. But obviously, I'm a bikini girl, so it's a little different. But I never realized like how some people actually do struggle with keeping their mass on.
Yeah, well, you have bodybuilding muscle bellies, so it's like perfect for the sport. But like you said, you might even had too big of shoulders for bikini.
Yeah. All right. On to, what about training? Talk about your training regimen a little bit and like what you did to prep.
Yeah, so training, it wasn't so much like trying to hit PRs or anything like that. It was mainly like focusing on the whole contraction aspect. I went more of like a Mike Metzner route where it was like 2 working sets. And I wouldn't do so much of the volume as I would normally do. It's where like you go in on, let's just say Monday for more bros, and it's a chest day, and you're doing like incline press, you're doing flat dumbbell press, you're doing flies, you're doing pec deck, you're doing dips, you're doing push-ups. I really didn't do that. I picked 2 or 3 exercises and did 2 working sets as hard as I can for those sets. My legs, actually, I try to focus less on them because I wanted to keep my upper body full and as big as possible because I wasn't showing off my legs in this photo shoot. So that was 1 time per week instead of 2. And it was like going through the motions. It was more functional than anything else. I wasn't really pushing with squats. Leg press I would. Romanian deadlifts I would push a little bit. But besides that, it was mainly contraction. It was mainly getting a lot of blood flow for the legs I'm talking about. But for the other body parts, it was definitely more of a Mike Metzner approach where, you know, you could have 1 top set. I did 2. And the mindset's totally different too, because when you only have to do 2 sets, like you go balls to the wall for that. If you're like, oh shit, I got a 3rd, you know, it's almost like your mentality, you want to save some in the tank for that 3rd set. But the 1 to 2 sets is really what I utilized. And it was good because I was in and out, you know, it was a 35 to 50 minute workout depending on which day it was.
What about cardio?
Cardio, well, I started boxing again. So that was 60 minutes where my average heart rate is, you know, from a low of 145 to a high of 165. So I would use that as my cardio 2 days per week. There were a few times where near closer to the end of the photo shoot, the prep for the photo shoot, a few weeks before that, I would do 20 minutes on the Stairmaster. You would be in there too. You'd be on the bike. So 20 minutes, maybe 2 times per week. So I did basically boxing 2 times a week, which was my main form of the cardio. Even though I didn't want to view it as cardio because I really wanted to get better at boxing. But my heart rate was up high enough to where I could just check that off the list. And then when I wanted to just tighten up a little bit, I just added 2 more 20-minute sessions per week. So very, very low compared to what a normal prep would definitely be. So
yeah, I remember you doing cardio for preps, and you were always doing cardio.
I fucking hate cardio. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't ever want to do it. But I do know that it is a way to bring up your calorie deficit without taking food. And I love to eat and don't want to be hungry. So it was something that you had to just bite the bullet with.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about, what about your peak week? Like, what did you do different? What did you do to prep?
There was no peak week. I had my look, and I just did the same shit over and over again just to maintain it. I didn't do any water manipulation. I didn't do anything. I'll just say the day of, I did dry carbs just to kind of fill out. So I would eat dry cereal.
I just want to say you were eating like cereal.
Yeah. No, it was what was it? Was the Cocoa Puffs? Is that what they're called? Yeah. The Cocoa Puffs, I would have that.
I've never seen you eat real cereal.
Yeah, I was eating them by the fucking handful then. But yeah, no, the morning of, I was basically dry carbing it, but that was it. There was nothing else that was totally different in terms of peak week. I didn't try to peak. I felt like I already peaked, so I'm not going to fuck with something that's not broken. But what's cool about that is, like, I peaked, and I was maintaining it with a lot of leniency.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted to have they're called pretzel crisps. They're like really thin pretzels. I love taking like my meat and just breaking off a piece of my meat and throwing it over a pretzel crisp and eating it. Like that's one of my favorite things in the world. And I was able to do that throughout this entire process. So
Yeah. All right, let's kind of switch gears. What about just the photo shoot day and the photographer? Like how'd you feel about that? And what's important there?
yeah, the photo shoot day, I felt like I was on point. Liked the way I looked. I felt like with the photographer Lyman, what's his last name? Lyman Wynn. That's right. So he's really, really good. Came in very personable. You kind of knew him, but came in. I didn't know him from Adam.
Just FYI, he does a lot of that NPC competitors, and it's pretty big in fitness in Utah at least. So he's familiar with fitness shoots and stuff like that. So if you ever want to use him, that's a plug for him.
Yeah. No, he's really good. Very, very comfortable. Wasn't like there's some photographers you kind of feel weird or a little bit creepy. He was perfect, man. We laughed a lot too. I think that you having a relationship with him kind of eased that going right into it. He did do a lot of like, there was a couple poses where it was more like bodybuilding poses. And I'm like, this was more supposed to be like a lifestyle. Like, yeah, I'm going to show off my physique and then we're going to go lifestyle. Because I want to use these images for social media, not so much for like my portfolio. But he did do some bodybuilding poses, which I was just like, okay, whatever. But then he did some really cool shit with different lights and smoke in the background. And Eryn came down and was like spraying shit behind me, so it looked like smoke. And then we went out and down to Salt Lake City, downtown Salt Lake City, and we did a whole lifestyle shoot, which is what I really wanted. Where I had maybe 5 outfits I went through. And basically, just had a really good time. He has a really good vision. He was literally making shit up on the fly, like, oh, this would look great. He's like, hold on, stay here. He'll grab a chair from like some other area, bring it over, sit in a chair right in front of like people. Like it was just so cool. Like we were just walking by areas and he just like envisioned it and just like, hey, we're stopping here. We're going to do this. But the direction he gave was really, really good. He also said it's good that I could take direction because when he deals with people who can't take direction, he's like, it's a fucking headache. So he's like, I'm glad. Like, I'm like, listen, I'm no fucking amateur over here. Come on, guy. But we had a really good relationship, and I'm definitely going to use him again next year for my photo shoot next year too. So, yeah.
It's funny. The first time I thought about like doing photo shoots like as a goal, maybe it wasn't the first time, but actually it was at a competition where one of the photographers said, instead of doing a competition, we should just do a photo shoot. And I was like, that is an excellent idea because, you can still have a goal to meet there. Yeah. And I think it's a whole different experience.
I don't know. Cause if I'm like in photo shoot shape and I go to a competition just to do the photo shoot, I'm going to want to step on stage.
Why?
It's just a competitive nature of me.
You get judged by subjective judges.
It is a competition. I've played sports since I was 5 years old, through college.
That's different because there's points scored. In bodybuilding, there's no objective data. It's all subjective.
It doesn't matter. It's the competitive nature that I have within me, where I just feel like if I was in really good shape and I'm showing up, I'm be like, hey, yeah, I could jump on stage right now. It'd be difficult for me, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I would. I don't think I would go to a competition to do a photo shoot. Is what I'm saying.
Well, whatever you do, you.
What are you eating right now? What is that?
Chocolate.
What kind of chocolate?
It's Christmas chocolate.
I was gonna say it smells minty.
It's peppermint. It's good. Anyway, let's move on to my next question. What about, you had mentioned at the very beginning about you don't like your photos edited.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe experiences where that didn't go well for you?
So I just don't like, I'm going to show you what there is. I mean, you even have people now on social media calling out people who edit their photos. What's his name? Goob. He does that all the time. But yeah, no, this is what I am. I don't need to be like they did airbrush shit like before competitions. I never ever got that. I'm like, you're going to see my real abs. What if you fuck up my abs? What if it looks like the movie 300 and it looks really fake? So I'm not into that. I'm not into the whole editing photos either. I don't need that. I had one time there was an edited photo. I took it very, very early on in my career. And he sent me the photo. He was like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I'm like, "Dude, that's not me, man. Like, why are my shoulders so big and my waist so little? Like, I'm kind of blocky. Like, that's not me." He's like, "No, I edited it." I'm
Just
like,
didn't
"Don't."
do a good job.
Yeah, no, I was just like, "No, don't ever edit my photos. Like, I'm not gonna pay you. Like, you're not gonna like. That's it. Like, please don't edit my photos." But whether it's filters, whether it's airbrushing, whether it's minor edits to the photos, I'm not a fan of it. Like, just here's the photo shoot. I feel like I don't need it to be edited because I looked good. Fuck it. You know, like, what do you got to edit?
That's good for
Man,
you.
that's the way I think. Like, don't edit my photos.
Just so you know, not all of us are opposed to editing photos.
That's okay.
I'm good with some editing.
Listen, you're gonna edit the lighting, okay, but don't edit my body. Don't like pull in or pull out. No.
I don't think I've had that particular thing.
Well, they call it, what is it? Photoshopping, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
they call it photoshopping. Yeah, never did that.
Yeah.
Never will.
All right. So overall,
Yeah.
competitions or photo shoots?
Photo shoots. I think I am done with. I think I'm done with competitions for good, and I think I got to think about it. But my heart is 95% over it. Once it gets to that 99%, I'll make an announcement. But I definitely think I'm just going to focus on the photo shoots. It was just a lot of fun, and it wasn't as stressful, and I was able to drink when I wanted to. I didn't drink a lot. It's like a beer or two, like at lunch or like at a dinner we went out to, a glass of wine or two, and there was so much leniency, flexibility, but also so much control too. Like, I was able to stop. Like, I didn't need to try to chase a buzz or anything like that.
It wasn't unpleasant control. It was good. It was like, I'm done.
No,
you know?
it was like, I don't need any more. I'm good. Like, it was fine. I wet my palate, so to speak. So, but definitely photo shoots over competitions. And honestly, like, I would say to all my clients, like, you set up a photo shoot for yourself at the end, because it's such a cool thing. And then, like, you get to show yourself with really, really good photos, like what you did for yourself. And if you're not stage ready or anything like that, so fucking what? Look at where day 1 was to day, let's just say 100. And on that day 100, you did a photo shoot. You should take pride in that.
Yeah, I used to do them for like birthdays, like prep for them and stuff like that. And it was kind of a reminder to, one, it was a goal, and then when I was doing it, it was kind of a gift, like look at what I accomplished.
It's cool as fuck, especially if you're like, I love the way this photo is or that photo. Yeah. You're not gonna like them all. You might catch it at a wrong angle, but it's cool because I'm gonna use it to help me, because I'm always like goal oriented, right? So I need something to strive for. And if I'm like, I'm going to do a photo shoot, 1 or 2 photo shoots every year, it just gives me that shit that I could strive for, right? And it helps me set up those phases. Like, if you've seen my Instagram lately, I talk a lot about dieting phases and how you need to spend more time out of a diet than actually in one. And there's a maintenance phase, there's a metabolic capacity phase, there is a dieting phase. And if you could set up your year with that and cross off like the weekends that like you're going to have like to yourself, cross off holidays, like those are going to be days that you don't need to worry about working out and training and stuff like that. And you set yourself up for that year and you plan those phases out, you're set, you're golden, and you're just going to set yourself up for the next year. And that's something that we do here at Balanced Bodies in case anybody needs any help, especially for 2025.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the questions I've got.
Well, let me ask you, like, because you did see me through one competition. You're
crazy.
You did see me. Well, no, you legitimately saw in one competition.
Yes.
And you saw this. So what was your experience like with that?
I said you evolved as a human being.
I want to know your experience, not mine.
Oh.
I want to know what you felt.
I felt I liked the Vinny that went through the photo shoot a lot better.
Yeah.
Because the Vinny that went through competition was like one. So because I was on the end of like being around you, it was like, we can't go out to eat. We have to like be careful. You were stressed about even like going out to eat with your family. I remember that. And I was like, and your family was trying to pressure you into eating, and you were like, no. So it was a conflict, right? That you had to resolve. And I don't think that it was all right because you're used to it. But at the same time, you could, like, from an outsider's perspective, you could tell there was some conflicted emotions on your family's part and also on your part.
My family are big eaters, and they would always say like, "Oh, you could have this," and it's like, I know I could fucking have it. I just don't want it right now. It's not in my plan. Like, I have a plan that I'm set to, and just let it be.
Yeah, and we've all been there as competitors, right? So. Like,
there's an extreme. You have to be, if you want to do well in that sport, you have to be extreme.
Well, and to be fair, you usually don't go out to eat ever during your prep, or like at least towards the end, and it was towards the end. And you were doing it because I was in town, I think. And then I remember like the day that I was leaving.
Is that when I fell asleep? Like,
yeah.
On you? Oh, yeah.
When I was leaving, your energy levels, right? So they were a whole different level where you felt really, really tired, you know, and you know, I understand because I've been there too. But I didn't see any of that with this photo shoot prep. You had energy. You were able to go out. There's no conflict about like eating or about like if you wanted to enjoy yourself one of the nights.
I surprised you a couple times. Hey, it's Tuesday. Let's go out to eat.
Yeah, it was awesome. And like there was not any of the emotion or like the negative emotion or the control like that. It's just you can feel it like as a bystander, like when somebody's trying to control everything that is going on around them, and although they're not trying to control what your actions are, they're trying to control their own actions, and it's uncomfortable because you don't want to not support them either, and so you kind of feel some tension. You know, and so I didn't feel any of that from you this time. It was more relaxed. You were happy. You had energy. I felt like you enjoyed your workouts. If you skipped a workout, it wasn't a big deal. I remember that, you know, when we first started seeing each other, I remember when we went to Yellowstone and you had to get your steps in. And I was like, this guy is a little crazy. And it was like, but it was like a prerogative, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like, it's not the end of the world if you don't. You know. And
especially on vacation, it shouldn't be a priority. I get it. Well,
and
to be honest with you, I push that, and I get where you're going. Like, listen, the workouts, it shouldn't be the main thing, but I do preach that anybody who goes on vacation should focus on steps and power walks all the time. But I get what you're saying. Like, it wasn't to the forefront.
I think the goal, like for me at least, in looking at like my fitness journey, is like to enjoy every aspect, right? And you got to find joy in that work, which is why you do it. But at the same time, you can't beat yourself up. If you don't hit 10,000 steps a day, it's okay.
I think I was at like
just 13, do your best. Do your best. It's all right.
But look, we're not saying like we're not having this conversation to like impress you. We're having this conversation to impress upon you that there is a way to get to your desired look while still maintaining a quality of life. And I am physical proof of it because I just went through it. And trust me, if you fucking know me and you knew me going through a prep phase, it's Vinny's competition phase. We won't see him for a while. I went all in, right? Just because I just always wanted to do the best that I could. And I would blame myself if I didn't do the best, right? So having this evolution and having this period now in my life where there is a quality of life and still getting my body to a position where I'm really happy with, that was the end goal for me always, without even me realizing it. And it's my end goal for all my clients. And what we're trying to say here is that it can happen. And like I just said, like I am physical proof just going through this because I was so anal back in the day, so OCD anal. And this was so relaxed. This is so chill. This was like just a good time.
Yeah. And I will say that I'm more proud of you with this look and how this has been for the past 6 months than you getting some stupid plastic trophy that somebody decided that you looked the best at compared to contestant B.
Okay, well, I'll take that as your plastic trophy you just gave me. Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it. But that's it. That's all we're going to talk about today about the photo shoot. Hopefully that just sheds some light that you can get the body that you desire as long as you have the right game plan in place, number one. And number two, you can still maintain that quality of life with that right game plan and still look fucking awesome. This week coming up, we have Dr. Eryn creating a podcast for us. So I'm excited about that. Some science is going to be involved there. Hopefully you enjoy this, and we will talk to you all next week. So on behalf of Balanced Bodies, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this episode of the Balanced Bodies Blueprint.
We are committed to bringing valuable content. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd greatly appreciate it if you can take a moment and like it and leave a 5-star review.
On Apple, just go to the show, scroll down to the bottom and rate it there. If you're on Spotify, go to the show's page, click the 3 dots, and you can rate it there as well.
And if you believe in the power of knowledge, share this episode on your social media to try and get the information out there to as many people as possible.
And as you navigate your own path towards better health, remember that Balanced Bodies is forever in your corner. See you all next week.
The podcast content may include discussions of medical topics and health-related information. However, the information provided should not be considered exhaustive or complete, and it should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment.